If you're about to take a flight in which you have a tight layover and you are worried about making that connecting flight, then in this video, I'm gonna share with you a really helpful tip that will help you to know exactly how to make that connecting flight, down to the point of when you get off the first flight, you'll know if you're making a left or a right and how much time you got coming up. And if you're new here, yo, I'm Christine Lozada with Where in the World is CL. I make travel videos every week to help you get up, get out, and go travel. So if you like to travel, consider subscribing. I used to fly 6 to 8 times a week. That's a lot. And I always had really tight connecting flights. And so I'm gonna show you the top tip that I use to be able to make the connecting flight quickly, easily, and with as little stress as possible. The first thing you need is, let's pull up the screen here, your flight info, specifically the flight numbers. Grab the flight numbers of your 2 flights. The flight you're looking at right now, my mom's on this flight right now, headed to where I'm filming this at in South Florida. We're about to get on a Virgin Voyage cruise, and I want her to make her connection. Why? Look at this. Atlanta, she lands at 2:44 p.m. Atlanta, she has a connecting flight at 3:21 p.m. That's not that long. In fact, that's only this many number of minutes. And my mom is not a sprightly 20-year-old who's gonna sprint from one gate to the next. So I'm helping her right now so she knows what to expect. Here's the first thing I do. You can, if you have the app, the Delta app is the most accurate. There have been times where I use the app versus using just Google. The app has the most updated info. You want it from the airline, or I guess Delta's website in this example. But if you must, you can do it in 2 ways. So I'm gonna show you both ways. First, I'm gonna show you via the Delta app. So in this example, I've gone over to the Delta app. I'm going over to flight status, and I'm just gonna type in, so she's flying today on the 24th, her flight number is 473, and this is gonna show me her first flight. So her first flight is currently in flight right now, and I can see here that, ooh, she's landing early at 2:24. She's landing 20 minutes early, which is great. And I'm seeing that she's landing in the domestic terminal south at gate B14. She's coming into B14. That's what I want to remember. And so I am going to hold on to this information. So I'm just going to write in my notes, she's going to B14 over here. I could have alternatively dropped this into Google. So let's do that really quick. So I'm just on Safari using Google, and I'm typing in her flight, Delta 473. And this comes up, and this info is also up to date. So Google is telling me she will land at 2:24 p.m. and into gate B14. So that's great. Now I'm gonna go grab that second flight number. In the Delta app, I'm just gonna clear this out, and I'm gonna put that other one, which was 1458. That's not 1458. And I'm gonna look at this flight, and I'm looking at where it's departing out of. So this flight is on time. I know it's on time. And she's gonna be flying out of domestic terminal south, B11. And so one thing to note, this is helpful, is you don't want to look at this info too soon. Like you won't even know what the gate is the day before. Generally, I'm connected to the Wi-Fi on the flight, and I'm looking up this info while on the flight. And if you're like, I can't pay for Wi-Fi on the flight, or I don't have Wi-Fi on my flight, then it's the first thing you do when you touch down at the place you've landed at. Because again, you touch down, you got a taxi, you gotta get all the people in front of you getting their bags, they take forever. You have the 5 minutes you need to do this exercise. Whether you're doing it for somebody and they're doing it for you, like I am for my mom, otherwise do it in the air on your Wi-Fi, or do it as soon as you land so that you are prepared as soon as you walk out. Because what if one flight's a little bit behind and the next one is taking off early? I've had that happen before. That was not my favorite day. But now I know that she's at B11, which, by the way, if you're getting some value out of this video, cheers that like button, consider subscribing, add your helpful tip in the comments below. We're all a community. I got a million YouTube videos. Check them all out. Check the playlist, actually, very helpful. B14 and B11, 2 ways to do the next step. You can just Google the airport that you're at and pull up the map of the terminal. For me, I'm gonna keep using the Delta app. What I love about the Delta app is when I click on that terminal, it will actually pull up the map. And so I know that she's coming in to concourse B. She's gonna be booking it from B14 to B11. I love that, it's right next to each other. That's why I personally take this flight all the time. I'm zooming in over here. She comes out of B14 and she needs to go to B11. And so I know when she comes out of B14, she needs to make a right. She's gonna come out of B14, she's gonna make a right, and she's gonna see B11 right in front of her on the left. So that's what I'm gonna text her right now. What's funny with Find Friends, I can see my mom's current location in the air, which is over Oklahoma because she's connected to the Wi-Fi. And so I wrote, Cece, there's a gate change for your flight. You land at B14, you take off from B11. So when you get off your plane, take a right. B11 is a couple gates away on the left side. She knows exactly where to go. And so I'm also gonna be sending her updates because she lands in about an hour. So probably an hour from now, I'll just check one more time super fast in case there's any last minute gate changes. And I'll just make sure both of her flights coming in on time and taking off on time. Otherwise, I'll send her an update about her flight being early or late, etc. You can grab the maps straight off of Google. That's the other way that I do it. Another thing to note is, if you are flying with 2 different airlines, that's another thing. I specifically, on tight layovers, this is a helpful tip. Tight layovers, I try to book it with the same airline in the same ticket and not on 2 separate tickets. Why? Because if you have an issue, they are more likely able to help you, whether it's with your luggage or just fill in the blank. If it's 2 separate airlines, man, that second airline isn't gonna really care about what happened on that first airline. And the other thing is that it will likely be in different terminals. And so I knew that a tight layover here would be all right because she'll stay in the Delta terminal. If I was booking her on a Delta and then on an American flight or something like that, it's likely gonna be on 2 different concourses. She would have to take the train, would likely have to walk through the terminal, all of the things. And so that's just one thing to consider as well. If you found some value in this video, cheers that like button, consider subscribing, and if you have a helpful tip, add it below. Tons of videos on this channel for you. Safe flying to you. See you in the next adventure. Ciao.